Welcome and thank you for joining us here on the second half hour, The Factor Uncensored. Tonight, some people on social media are accusing a middle school teacher of being too preoccupied about her looks instead of her students. This video of her has gone viral. In it, she says she is, quote, that one teacher in school with main character energy. Some have also criticized her choice to wear a dress that loves on those hips like that. The teacher reportedly said she's competing with female students while inadvertently distracting male students. Are these fair critiques, or is it not her fault that she's simply stacked like that? Gift from God. Joining us to talk about it, parent Demetrius Walker and educational consultant Shanidra Wagner. Glad to have you both here on The Factor. So, Shanidra, your thoughts about this? Is this too much? Is this just her body? Should we care?
We should definitely care, because the school environment has a lot of things going on that shouldn't be there. A lot of sex, a lot of things, drugs. I mean, things were happening in schools that we never would have imagined, right? Some women cannot control the way they're made, the way they're built, and no matter what they wear, you're going to be able to see those hips. However, in the school environment, there should be professionalism. And when I was a young teacher, I mean, she's young. I consider her age. You know, when you're younger, you're thinner. Sometimes you wear more tight things. But I had somebody to mentor me my first year of teaching. She kind of explained, you know, the rules aren't the same, she said to me, for black teachers as they are for white teachers. So don't wear your arms out. And I was like, ooh, I didn't abide by everything she said, but she came from a different era where women, you know, they wore stockings and wore heels, and they were very poised, even in their speech. You know, they had standards, whether it was when they dressed, where they spoke, where they taught. And so we've seen a dramatic decline in that, and that's the issue here. But I blame the principal of the school, because the principal sets the tone. And so it's the principal's job to step in and talk with their teacher.
All right, Demetrius, as a parent, your thoughts about this, and we're looking at her there with the stripes on.
Well, on the positive side, I don't think anybody's going to be skipping class. I know I wouldn't have missed class.
Attendance dramatically goes up tonight at 10:30 on The Factor.
Most definitely, most definitely. Now, I would have been in class, but I probably would not have been paying attention to the chalkboard, that's for sure. I definitely would have been locked in on the teacher. And, you know, like I said, that could be positive or it could be negative, because maybe people weren't focusing on their classwork and they were more so interested in the teacher as a loving.
Now, as a parent.
Yes, sir.
Your child in the classroom.
My child in the classroom, I think he would be very enthusiastic about attending class had this been one of his teachers. But, you know, my concern for him is that he's learning and that he's actually absorbing the material. So any distraction to him learning is problematic.
Now, are what we're seeing now, that's the result of social media? Is that possible? Obviously, the teachers on social media is showing off as well. But, you know, does social media make it that much more worse, exacerbate the problem?
So I would say yes, because to me, and I thought she looked cute in the dress. You know, I think it was the way she was carrying herself. What she was doing in the mirror is what young girls usually do at the club. You know, before you get all your angles together, you're trying to look good, you know, go out there and find whatever, but not at a school. I mean, if she wants to be the main character, I would think she'd go into character. Maybe, you know, the teachers in the restrooms going, are my earrings on right? You know, 100 Days of School, when you dress up in costumes, you can be the main character in children's stories.
Now, could she be just on 10 because she's on social media? When she gets to that classroom, it's about business.
Perhaps, but you still shouldn't do that on school premises. Like, that is just not appropriate for your work environment.
And Demetrius, your thoughts, do you think social media makes it worse for teachers like that who may be, you know, just trying to get followers, viewers? And
everybody's trying to get attention these days. You know, it's a drug. People, the likes, the shares, you know, people are looking to get clout off of social media for sure. You know, in this instance, I just want to see a teacher that's enthusiastic to be in the classroom teaching my child. So, you know, if this creates enthusiasm for her, it motivates her to be in that classroom, because it's a hard place to be these days, let's admit it. You know, she has to do what she has to do to get psyched up to get in that classroom.
And of course, you initially said, well, I also put some of the blame at the feet of the principal there. Should there be policies in place in various school districts and schools where, okay, you can use social media for this, but not for that? Because we've seen a lot of good come out of social media in schools where we've seen kids perform well as a result of social media. But should there be rules in place when it comes to the use of social media?
There definitely should be, because most teachers who are on social media are content creators. They get lots of followers based on the content that they put out there, the motivation they put out there. So the aesthetic thing, again, for me in the teacher educational setting, was a no-no. Some schools do actually have policies. It all depends on the leadership. Some leaders are very explicit about, what is not going to fly on social media. They're very clear, and they talk with their staff members. But you have some leaders who do not want to exercise that compassionate candor. They don't address the issue.
All right. We want to thank you both for joining us tonight here on The Factor Uncensored.